This is your girl, Isis Wisdom of ElevatedRadio.fm, and we're back here on IG Live, and we are talking about relationships. Now, I hope the young lady Mayat Star C comes back on here, because I'd love to talk to her. And let me see if I can find her. Mayat, let me know where you are, baby. I'm going to try to see if I can see. There you go. There's Mayat. Emperor, I'm going to bring you in when I'm done speaking with Mayat. Come on, Mayat. I need you to finish up. There you go, baby. There you go. Yeah, Instagram. You know, Instagram, that went out by so fast. And people are like, dang, you just cut off. I'm like, that's Instagram. It only gives me an hour.
It did go off really fast. Thank you. I was like, man, I was about, but it's okay because I needed the music. I appreciate that. I was like, okay, let me calm down a little bit. I was about to go really fast. I think I'll recap a little bit because I know it's different people on here. Sorry, I lost the contact, y'all. I'm not crying. I was just explaining how coming out of into consciousness as far as our history, scrubbing and unlearning all the things that were fed to us, especially about relationships, especially about marriage in particular. That unlearning process between men and women in general has done a number to us. So in us getting back to and healing and things like that, it's like we got to like delineate between what was indigenous and what is designed to keep us from communicating properly or what's, you know, unrealistic expectations like you was covering in the last slide. So I was just sharing that I went through that a divorce and had a house involved. And I don't know for other people, if they got children involved, you go through custody things and things like that. And that those types of things wipe your energy, like clean slate, wipe it out. Because, you know, you did spell work. You said till death do you part. And so people don't realize it's an energetic death. You might not actually physically die, you know, so that's what some of those things to recover into these relationships as we move forward is really and why we're taking the stances like the last young lady before me spoke of more women being single longer, not having kids longer. I remember growing up thinking I don't want to have kids in this environment or without a marriage or the right relationship. Then got married thinking the same way, right? Like till death do us part, you know, like let's keep building, and that didn't work out. So the devastation and the energy drop that occurred put me to the frequency of what everybody's dealing with now, right? And so now having the backwards route, I'm understanding, okay, all the baby mama, baby daddy, all this extra energetic things that are misaligned relationships all across the board, because even marriages were messed up.
Mm-hmm.
We're not, you know what I'm saying? So like none of the relationships was working on whether the side of like your family was for it, you use good sense, like you get what I'm saying? Like the maturity level of the type of relationships we're after. And we're talking about like getting to that next community building, poly relationship. So after that, it was like, okay, I was done with the monogamy marriage, you know, like obviously there's more to this because I'm focused and the people I'm attracting just, you know, they're liking it, but they're not in their own purpose, in their own right. So
Mm-hmm.
that misalignment of self from the beginning is the theme across the board on both sides.
You're saying that, and you're saying that that's pertaining to indigenous relationships,
Yes.
right? All the way across the board as far as indigenous relationships. So let
Yes.
me ask you this question: is it a possibility as well? And I'm gonna throw a different perspective at you. Is it a possibility that maybe because of the lack of knowledge that you had at that time when you're getting into a relationship with someone, there's certain things that we may not have had, we might not understood the qualifications, so to speak, for marriage. You don't have to do a necessary marriage as far as mistakes. I already know what that's about. But the thing that I'm concerned about is this: women are still having children,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no men there to take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
These are facts,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And it's hurting our children. These are facts. So the mentality of this particular situation where you have a lot of single women that have children, we are perpetuating something that's being detrimental to the offspring. I just want to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, let's talk about the times that we're currently in right now.
Mm-hmm.
We see a lot of things that are going on around us. At the same time, your experience might not be the next woman's experience.
Right.
Okay? Everybody has a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a different experience. I got people tell me they got issues with police, and I tell them, well, I don't have issues with police.
Mm-hmm.
I'm living in a whole different paradigm and a whole different dynamic and a whole different consciousness. So what might work for one person from that perspective may not necessarily work for the next woman in that perspective. Okay? It may not work. But my thing is that the women that have that mentality, then my question is, what is the solution to situations where children are involved?
Mm-hmm.
How does that unit, so explain to me where's the cohesiveness coming from? What type of conversations, discussions are being had with your life partner now, if you will, because now you're talking about a life partner. He's not your husband, or he is your husband, or what's going on here? Or is it your husband? Is he not your husband? How do we classify this individual? And is it an out? Is it an easy way out for one or the other person to go and walk out of the relationship with that type of responsibility? Because at the end of the day, we already know who's going to be left with that responsibility. It's very common. All you got to do is look around you and see who's being left with responsibility. So then my question is, how does that help our community? How does that help us continue to nation build? How does that help us? Where does that fit in at? How do we protect our children from being hurt and not having both parents to be raised? Because we should not be used to having single parent households, and we shouldn't be used to having a man and a woman that take care of their children as one. We shouldn't be used to this. So how do we fix it?
So initially, right, growing up, I thought I had that solution. I thought, you know, waiting till you got married and you agree and both people were of like mind and going to make that happen. And what I am presenting is that even still doesn't always happen. And I need women to know that and hear that up front before engaging, before ever going out there, knowing that children are yours regardless. You know what I'm saying? You might be in a great marriage, divine union, whatever we're calling it, something healthier than what's being presented. And it's that you're still can't control the other person's response or their midlife crisis or their change in consciousness or their lack of change in consciousness. And that's really, I don't know that I have a solution, to this, because I thought I had the solution of what seems like the right idea. And I think there has to be a realism that comes to understanding relationships across the board before the children. We have to deal with the children that are here. That's a fact, right? But to stop to put some Band-Aid on, like thinking that the relationship is the key to the children, it's not. There's an
It's
aspect
not?
that I think that people change, and we need to always remember that people can change. So while two people could be honest, upfront, integrous, after the right things, one person may turn a certain age and be into something totally different, or be like, this ain't it no more. You get what I'm saying? In
Let me
terms
ask you
of
a question. Let me ask you a question. So what happens, and let's say it happens, I've been in a situation like that, where I was growing faster than the other person was in the relationship.
mm-hmm,
But what I didn't take in consideration was some other factors here that were playing that I didn't see. You have hindsight 2020, right? You don't
right,
see it when you're going through it, right? You don't see it,
right,
but later on you see it. The person that I was in a relationship with for 10 years was my best friend. He was my best friend. This man knew me inside and out. We had disagreements about things, but we were always friends. And even when we broke up, we were friends when we broke up. That's how crazy it was. It wasn't like this big blown up, dramified argument. It wasn't anything like that. We decided that we were going to part ways, and because we were growing in two different directions, right?
right.
But looking back on that though, I realized that there were some other factors that may have been in play where maybe I might have acted too hasty in certain situations where it could have worked out. And
Mm-hmm.
so my question is, with you even looking back on it now with your situation, would you say so you don't have kids?
I do. I
You don't have
do.
kids?
Now I have two kids with out of
Are they
wedlock.
to him?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
So that's why I
you
said
have two
I've
kids
done both sides of the coin. What'd you say?
Oh, okay. Are you married now?
I'm not married to their father.
Okay. Are you with the father?
No, no. So I'm coming from a very real perspective of having started that way, and I wasn't the one to leave the marriage. So even though I was growing different conscious level, I was conscious enough to know how to, I waited that long to be married. I wasn't going to just leave a person because of their consciousness. You see what I'm saying? So I too, so in my hindsight, I wasn't the one that like walked away from that. So the devastation there, like it just took me through my Saturn return. Like that's, if I would put it in short term stories, but I guess that's what I'm presenting there is that you can go that route. And yes, to your point, the women need to know, like, and the men, like men tend to be, if the guy is older, a lot of times he is gonna be like able to lead her in a lot more ways than she's conscious, her conscious level. He's got to be tolerant to that for a long time too. And I don't know if we actually consider that, that older men, some of them purposely choose younger women so that because they know they're not as experienced in life and that they can kind of guide their consciousness more. So some that's a preference. Some men would prefer someone more on their equal level of consciousness. And I think that's when we start talking about spiritual relationships, when they are on a more consciously connected compatibility and there's an actual chemistry. And not that the chemistry alone is enough. That's where now we talk about out of wedlock and not being practical and grounded in the things of a relationship. So for me, I found the key on both sides, no matter whether you already have kids, whether you are waiting to be married, like not putting your hope. I was that like college kid, virgin, still waiting, just raised that way. That's what you know what I'm saying? So it can, it's almost like whatever you put too much into the universe, if it ain't aligned with self first, if you're not putting eggs, you should never be putting your eggs into any basket of a partner. You should be putting all the eggs into yourself, and you will recognize another person putting all their eggs into themselves.
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah, of
that's
course.
that's that's recognizing people who can grow. Okay, this person might not be where I want them, but they can grow, they work on themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just elevated my way of understanding, searching, and seeking. And also um the responsibility as a mother. I am very much into astrology. And so you can see what children are karmic debts we had to clear, what children are of divine union, things like that. You know what I'm saying? And the goal obviously is to start bringing in karmic children. But I think to somebody else's point I seen earlier, you know, I don't know if it's better not to have kids. Now that I've been on both sides of this, I can't say that I would rather be here not having had that experience of motherhood and crossing those thresholds of motherhood. Whether it's hard regardless. I know women married with kids who still do everything. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know if the marriage is by itself enough. I mean, without saying this, without like presenting this aspect of information, but it's definitely the goal to have two people stick to the job that they decided to create and do. So this is not to say, oh, it's okay. I'm talking about if you're here already, if you've already come to this place, right? But also to those who are waiting for that relationship, for those who are under 28, who have not even hit their Saturn return, that you do have to learn yourself. You do have to get real good with yourself,
So what would you do differently now? You have your two children now. You're single. What would you do? Is there anything that you've learned out of those two situations that you would do differently now?
I get stuck because then it's like I've been the person that didn't have kids because it wasn't the right time and responsibility yet. And then I did the irresponsible thing where I was going to have kids anyways because I could, I guess. And the level of consciousness that I knew I was creating, that it switched from I don't want to bring kids into this environment to I have enough knowledge and enough within me to raise children to make a difference here immediately, and not to go through life not having that and basing it on the partner or not. Now,
but do you think that's selfish?
To have kids,
I'm saying from the standpoint of your children.
Say it one more time.
From the standpoint of your children, looking back on it now with what you just told me, when you're saying, well, I know I can do this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 blah. But were you completely and totally aware consciously about the effects that would have on your children?
Yes, because I am also a product in this world of the same thing, right? So I think that's important to mention is a lot of times that is some of your karmas. Your parents might have did it the same way. And that's what we're trying to clear is this karmic generational thing. And being that my mom, she had me out of wedlock and then got married, right? And is still with my stepdad today, right? So she's kind of like the other lady who had a kid and then, got married and stayed with that person and had another child with him. And so even though I was raised under that, it didn't change like my genetic spiritual DNA and what I had to come because I'm still my father's child, right? I still had things that I had to reconcile because I'm made from both the two parents that I chose.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part
you say that now, but when you were younger and when you were growing up, would you say that it did affect you at that time?
Environment, absolutely. Both. I see now that I am very grateful that my mom made better choices of an environment to raise me in, but I also know I would not be here and who I am if I, as the older knowing soul, did not choose specifically my mother and my father.
Okay.
You see what I mean? And so
you're saying you chose the mother and the father, and therefore you chose everything that came with it. But at the time, though, when you're growing up as a kid, you don't realize that at the time when you're growing up as a kid, you don't figure this out until down the road. Exactly. And so what I'm saying is that the experiences that we have as children is what shapes who we are today as adults.
Yes.
There may have been some trauma in the process of that.
Yes. Yes.
Some children get depressed during that process. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so it's always something different whenever you have the afterthought after you came out of all these different things. You know what I'm saying? But what I encourage mothers to always think about is, I heard someone say, just make a comment on that. I saw someone just make a comment saying that there's nothing wrong with being selfish when it comes to having children or whatever. And I'm like, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I don't agree with that either.
And I do not agree with that because you have to look at all aspects when it comes to the effects it has on the children. We cannot turn a blind eye and act like we don't see what's happening here, because there's a lot of children out here that do not have their fathers in their lives. Hell, there's children out here that don't even have their own mothers and allow the grandparents to raise them.
Right.
So now we're dealing with a situation where you have adults that really don't even qualify to even have children. And if you're going to have children because they're so expensive, you're going to need the support. The support shouldn't be the government. And I'm not saying that's your case, but I'm just saying the support should never be the government. Meaning it shouldn't be food stamps. It shouldn't be, you know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be, okay, I need child support. It shouldn't be any of that. It should be where the individuals, if you're not working out, it should be where the father is doing his role to help assist and take care of these children from a financial responsibility perspective. So it doesn't all fall on the mother, because this is how the mother her masculine side. Yes. Because now she's being forced to do everything else. She doesn't have a break. That's stressful, because now all that energy of being able to raise a child is now coming strictly from you. That wears you out. It does take a toll. I'm a single mother. I know. It takes a toll. And I only got one. And it takes a toll. Now, she's 28 years old. But I made a conscious decision not to have no more children. So I made a conscious decision not to have no children.
Because I was 32 before I had a child. So I did my bid, right, on doing it the right way. And I just want to present that no matter how much you plan for that shit, it does not go that way. Do you know why all these rich...
Well, hold on. Let's hold on for a second. It didn't go that way for you, but it's not to say that won't go that way for others. And I have to come back to you. I have to come back around to you on that. Like, look, your situation is not everyone's situation out here.
True. But I think I'm only speaking from a perspective of that I was the outlier woman for a long time. I was the one preaching this to people, like, you can wait, you know what I'm saying? It ain't no big deal. Like I did my bid on that, and no one mentioned to me that no matter how much that the universe has its laws, and they are what they are. And so there is the aspects of that which you think you want and that which you came to learn.
Yes.
And I think that's an aspect that throws its hand in this, that we might not be, that's a little out of our control sometimes, because I did the controlled, well thought out, planned, financial, not gonna bring them to, like, no accidents, no miscarriages, not about to raise them out the system. I got a degree. Like, I did that stuff. And I'm not saying, to your point, yes, there are women and people who have done it. I just know that the same depression, the same singlehood in marriage can happen, of raising the kids, the same on the flip side. And I just want to present that the same stressors to not put the eggs into just the environment you're creating, because if this is the universe's right now, what's happening on this planet, then some of us had to experience some chaos to be the beings that we came to help and shake this up. Not everybody could be on that good environment side. Like, we're not all in 5D Earth yet. Some beings want to come to do some things and be indigos on this 3D realm. And that's all I'm really pointing out, is you can't really perfect an environment. I tried. I'm not saying
no one gives you a manual. No one gives you a manual or instructions. No manual or instruction manual that tells you this is how you got to raise your kids, and this is what you do with life, and do you get married, and this is the steps you got to take for this.
Yes.
These are the steps you got to take for that. And really, our examples are our parents, right? Our parents are the ones that are our examples, right? So usually what happens is we're replicating off what we saw when we were growing up, whether it be our parents, whether it be our uncles, whether it be our grandparents, what have you, our friends. You know, we're replicating, thinking that we're doing what's best for us at that time based upon the examples that we're given. What's going on there? Well, really, what should you have?
The example was, you got to unlearn it and figure out your own self.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, the thing is, you got to learn your own. Yes, you got to learn your own. Yeah, that's correct. Well, thank you so much, my Starseed. I appreciate you for coming on board to share your opinion.
I appreciate you. I'm here for it.
You too, honey.
All right.
All right. See you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Okay. Let me see who's here. Stone Cold P. Let me see here. This is good. This is a good conversation on here. I like this. I was looking for the Emperor, but I don't see him on here. Emperor, you're going to have to say something in the chat, bro, because I don't see you. I do not see you. Put a request in or something. I don't see you. But in the meantime, I'm going to bring in Stone Cold P. Got to get a brother up here. Need to get some divine masculine energy up in here. Stone Cold, what up, fam? Where you at?
Hey, what's going on, Isis?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
So have you been listening to the conversation? I take you've been listening to the conversations. What is your take on this?
Yeah. I know we had this conversation before in was that Telegram? But one of the things I had to add to as well, both parties actually have to heal. If they don't heal before they even jump into a relationship, it's a disaster waiting to happen from the beginning. Second, I want to also throw is that respect. I have to throw that word in there because when you said that, I'm like, man, you hit the nail right on the coffin. Respect is probably the biggest thing over any other deal. This includes even love. Now, I've been married to my wife for 7 years, and I only have one biological child, but she has 4 before me, and I was willing to take care of that because I'm trying to break that generational curse. I told my wife in the beginning, I'd rather you respect me than to love me, because you're going to fall in and out of love with me in the marriage. But let be known that respect needs to stay there. And I basically put it all out on the line. I told her exactly what I was going through, what I've done, what I've been through. This is what I want, this, that, and the third. And she pretty much did the same thing for me. Like I said in the Telegram, when you start a relationship, it's basically a job interview. You have to ask the right questions. You cannot keep going off of us, coke and a smile. It's not going to work that way. You got to ask, what do you want, and go from there. Now, my wife did that, and during that time, I had 2 cars for 4 months in a relationship. I bought her one. I bought her a car because I knew she needed one for one, and she had 3 kids at the time. We wasn't even living together then, but I knew for a fact that was my one, and I stuck with it. Now, of course, me and my wife are going to have disagreements. That's when the communication kicks in. Mm-hmm. You can basically get your point across without raising your voice. But one thing I do have to ask women to do, and this, I'm not saying all women do this, but speaking in general, stop degrading men, especially indigenous men, because we go through a lot out in this real world. And the last thing we want is to be disrespected by the person that's supposed to have our backs. It hurts worse than getting it from you than getting it from my own mama. And I was even rose from a broken home. Neither one of my parents raised me. So, but yeah, that's I don't know what to say on that one. That's just, but thank you.
How long have you been married to your wife?
We've known each other 8 years, married 7. And
wow.
The kids that I say my kids now, and I'm cool with all their baby fathers. I made it my business to make sure that I visit every single one of them. At the same time, I tell them, hey, my door is always open. And whenever you want to come and see them, I ain't got no problem. And then they, we cool.
Okay, so you took the time out. Now, you was one that actually took the time out to go ahead and father somebody else's children. What I'm trying to get across to the women is that's not a common thing.
Yeah, and I'm close to the 6-figure thingy. I just
okay.
So
it doesn't happen that often. Then you talk 6 figures. I think there's only 15% of Black men that actually make 6 figures, and even less than that those who make 7 figures. You know what I'm saying? So that was a good look for her. You know what I'm saying? It was a good look. It was a good look for all across the board, especially with her having children, and she's got a man that's providing on that level. That doesn't happen often. That's not a common thing that happens.
Yeah, and I know for a fact I'm not a common guy. I'm pretty. I guess you can consider it weird or whatnot, but it goes with the territory. It's like I love my family. I can't even stress that enough. So, but yeah, thank you. I probably got a bunch of other things saying in my head right now. I can't even think of it. But and us men, we got to stop disrespecting our women. I'm sorry. That's why I don't even listen to this rap stuff no more. It's we got to stop doing that. That's mm, the B and women. You got to stop calling each other that too, because you kind of set yourself up for that.
Mm, mm. Well, thank you so much for coming on board and giving us your perspective, brother. I appreciate you.
No problem. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, I'm bringing in Emperor Eunice. Eunice, Emperor, bringing you on live, brother. Come on in, bro. Come on in.
Hi sis, what's going on?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, I'm great. I'm great. I'm just a little sleepy, but I'm okay. I just want to hop on real quick because I've been listening to the live and to what everyone has to say. And I just want to make this very impactful, but very simple, and very understanding and overstanding. The problem is that we're looking at relationships from a surface level presentment. We are operating against nature and against the universe instead of operating with nature and with the universe. That's how we are able to understand and overstand the frequencies of each being, the divine masculine energy and the divine feminine energy in each one of us. If we constantly keep looking at everything from outside of ourselves, we won't be able to understand or overstand what relationships actually are. That's just what it is. And relationship itself is not predicated and it's not based off of what you have and what you don't have. So if you're looking at someone who has this amount of Federal Reserve notes or whatever it is, any surface level stuff, that's not what's going to make the relationship last. And women naturally, they produce a docile energy naturally for their offspring, to help their offspring develop into the fully grown being that they're naturally supposed to be. You look at any lion in nature. The lioness, she produced this natural docile energy to help their lions, to help their cubs become fully grown, developed lions, to the point where they're not depending on the mother. You see, the problem is the woman herself, she's too compromised by Rome. And so it's not the fact that, and let me get into real quick, when you're looking at marriage, let's throw all that whole concept away of what marriage is. When you come together and when you have the ritual sex, sacred energy exchange, that's when you're already married. It's not getting a certificate. It's not you going to some chapel and all that stuff, the religious dogmatic training stuff. It's not that. When you come in together, you don't see a lion talking about, oh, well, I'm just going to think about marrying this woman because she doesn't have this much, or she's not respecting me, this and that. Energy. We come under harmonic flow with nature. And I stress this enough. I can't stress this enough. If we don't operate under with the flow of nature, we're just compromising ourselves. I've only had one relationship my entire life, but I've spent enough time alone to be able to understand and understand what nature needs from me. You see, that's my matrix. I've already came from my matrix. Matrix in etymology means mother, womb, uterus. It has nothing to do with anything that's, oh, let's leave the matrix. No. You want to leave the artificial matrix created by Rome. That's where you want to leave. But the matrix I came from was my mother. And then once the umbilical cord was cut, the other matrix, Mother Nature, she took me in and developed. She gave me the fruits of life, the seeds to eat, the fruits to eat, to help my being grow. My mother, Matrix, she breastfed me the milk from her bosom to make me to the fully developed man that I am. So when it comes to all this 3D surface level relationships, I'm not. That ain't me. When it comes to that, you're gonna have to vibrate very high to deal with the emperor. I'm not that kind of. You gotta have to know yourself. That means you're gonna have to take full accountability of your being to be able to know where all this is. because we don't have time to keep looking at surface level presentments and the connotative presentments given by Rome and then taking on what they want you to do in relationships based off of how they operate. No, we've been doing this for centuries. We've been operating with nature and with the portals, i.e. stars, for centuries. And after all this colonization, all this inquisition bullshit, now everybody's talking about, hey, you're gonna have to talk about your baby mama and your baby daddy. When the fuck did we start talking about that, talking like that?
We did. That's what I'm saying. That is an issue. That's an issue right there, all the way across the board. Now, explain to my audience when you say, because they still have Rome in them. Explain to my audience what you mean when you say that.
Oh my gosh.
Explain it in small terms so they can just kind of be where you are when you say it. That's all.
No, it's okay. No, because I was just really thinking about like how asleep we really are, because we really need to understand what that means. When you get into what real relationships are, you have to understand that relationships is not, it's harmony. It has nothing to do with operating outside of self. Everything is harmony. So you have to come under harmonic flow with nature to be able to understand the energy that she possesses, to be able to understand the energy that you possess. So we have to let go of these concepts. We have to let go of these old programs that have nothing to do with healing, that have nothing to do with ascension. We have to get past these presentments in order for us to ascend with unison together, and not against each other. You know, we're not talking about baby mama drama, baby mama this. We gotta let go of the lingo. We gotta let go of all of that. And when it comes to the children, we have to realize that the woman, she naturally produces docile energy to help the children become fully developed beings that they naturally should become. Let go of Rome. Let go of Rome. Let go of Rome. Unlearn to relearn. We have to. It has nothing to do with what kind of bank account, what kind of jobs, what kind of this and that you have. No. It's all about nature. It's all about you. Always.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. So then, how does one, with the conditions that you see within our community right now? Okay, we have to deal with that. Because now we understand. We understand what where the problem lies. But now that certain damage has been done.
Yes.
And in your opinion, how do we fix it? How do we heal from it?
We have to get into nature. We have to be willing to let go of the lies. But first, this is not an overnight thing. We all have willpower. We all have willpower. If we choose to remain ignorant, or if we choose to remain asleep to the truth, we will remain asleep to the truth. It's all a choice. It's willpower. You have to be willing to let go. You have to be willing to let go, or you have to be willing to unlearn to relearn. You can be with this whole entire. You can live with this whole entire resentment, this whole entire. How would you say? You can live with the lie for the rest of your life and not even know what the truth is. But it's up to you whether or not, if you want to unlearn to relearn, so you can do better and be better. In order to do better, you have to be better. It's really no excuse.
Do you still believe in relationship? Like, what is your concept and the idea of a relationship?
Unity. We all respecting one another. We all respect one another. We all understand one another. We all understand one another. We all pour into one another. You know, we pour into each other. That's not one person, not one entity pouring into one another. We both pour into each other. So my concept of relationships is not surface level. It's divine. I can't even give you a surface level answer because it's way out there. So, you know, when it comes to the relationships, I don't even want to call it relationships. I want to call it divine unification. So it's not really relationships to me. Divine unification.
So even with the reality that we're currently living in right now, where we're living on this particular realm, and we live in the United States of America. And the United States of America requires us to live a certain way in order for us to survive, right?
That's right.
But when it comes to having children, would you say that both individuals need to be financially sound in order to have children in the particular realm that we're living in right now?
Yes.
From a reality perspective, I'm saying, because we have to deal with reality. We can live in divine, but we also have to deal with things in a very realistic perspective, because the bottom line is those bills still got to get paid. Hospital bills still got to get paid. The child has to be fed, things like that. So then are you saying that flowing with nature, in other words, can you see yourself, let's say you don't have no money. Let's just say you don't have no money. Right? I'm just speaking hypothetically, okay? And the woman don't have no money. I'm just making sure that we're on the same page, all right? And you guys are divine and flowing well, right? And you guys end up having some kids together. What's going to pay the bills in regards to that? How you going to raise the kids? You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying we gotta, what I'm saying to my audience is this, is that we have to have a balance and understand that the circumstances that we currently live in America, because we're living in America, this is a capitalist society. It's easier to say not to look at certain aspects when it comes to raising children, but at the same time, you see what happens when we don't have what we need to have to provide, because the system is really systematically set up that way or designed for you to fail if you're not operating a certain particular way as it pertains to your income. We're not living in Africa. We're not living in Mexico. We're not living in Central America. We're living in the United States of America. And unfortunately, the reason why that's put in place, when you said that the artificial or the wrong part of it, I wish that wasn't in place. I really wish it wasn't in place. But reality suggests that when we look at a mate or someone that we're trying to get with, reality suggests that somebody got to be paying the bills.
Oh, it's very true. And with that, when it comes to that, you know, we have to be, we have to be very financially, I would say, we are naturally wealthy. So when it comes to that, so we do have to have finances, and that is facts. That's facts. But we tend to make that the bigger, issue.
Right.
More than,
so you're saying that's perpetuated too much into the forefront. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying on that. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, what he's saying is that doesn't need to be the sole focal point when it comes to looking at a situation, when it comes to looking at a union. Everything needs to be in divine order. So that means that individual could be making 6 figures, or could be making 5 figures, could be making 7 figures, whatever it is that person's making. It doesn't matter as long as you guys are in divine order and everything is aligned with nature. That's basically what you're saying, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. That's right. Because we have to, in order for us to really thrive, we have to let go of the dead weight.
Right. Now, someone made a comment. She said, it's a privilege to have the time and space to raise your vibration, but you're talking about people who have already squeezed the toothpaste out of the tube.
Well, what was her experience like, or his experience?
I don't know. That was a comment that was actually made. I'm just repeating the comment that was actually made. I'm just pulling some comments out of people that are taking the time out to look at, to see what they're saying. Someone else just made a comment and said people are using spirituality as escapism. What is your thoughts on that? Are people using spirituality as a form of escapism from reality, from the realistic aspects of life?
Well, when it comes to spirituality, we have to get the concept in order. Spirituality in etymology means breath work. We have to get that in order first. And what when it comes to that, we do tend to use certain things. We tend to hide behind certain things as escapism so that way we don't take accountability for the stuff that we need to focus on, the things that we need to heal. We tend to do that, and that is a big issue, a big fucking issue. Excuse my language, but it's a really big issue. So yes, we do. We hide behind divinity. Well, divinity is natural law. It's universal law. but we tend to hide behind the brands of things instead of just facing things head on. What we naturally have been doing, facing things head on, not hiding behind things.
Right.
Okay.
Well, this goes back. We got to deal with one another on a very real level. This goes back to the shadow work, where you begin to start working on yourself, accepting all aspects of yourself, being comfortable with all aspects of yourself, so then that is being able to be shared with the world. So that goes all the way back. That goes all the way back there. But I'm more so focused on the aspect of what do we do now to correct the situation? Because people are not going to start having babies now. There's an agenda for our community in particular to stop having babies. And there are too many women that are developing a mentality of not wanting to procreate because of the reality that they're seeing playing out in front of their eyes. And I'd explained earlier, I'm sure you heard, that reality is not everyone's reality. And it's not, because you have people operating at different levels of consciousness.
That's right.
Okay? I don't like the aspect of women not wanting to procreate, because that's how we continue to keep going on and keeping our legacy going. We've done so much damage and self-hate to ourselves that I got to question where we're going to be in the next 10 years. Where do we fit on the totem pole here?
That's right.
This is a real conversation that needs to be had. Where do we fit on the totem pole here? Because this next generation that's coming up, because they weren't raised properly with a mother and father in their household. They weren't raised with the things that they need to have in their life. And so you get these kids out here that are unruly. They're looking for love in other places, and the wrong places that they shouldn't be looking for love for.
And that's the problem. That's where we're not coming on the harmonic flow of nature. We're constantly looking outside instead of within. We naturally know what to do. We naturally know how to provide. We naturally know how to grow food. We naturally know how to build things. But we're just so constantly looking at what celebrities are doing, what the television is doing, what the whole Draco order operations, what they're doing, what the programming that's being done, what the Phoenix programs and all that stuff, all this stuff, the stolen, all of the stuff. What Rome is doing, we're feeding into it, and they're clouding up our perception of how we should be functioning. The problem is that we're too compromised. We naturally know what to do. We naturally know how to provide. It should not have to be the forefront. We naturally know how to do these things. I naturally know how to go out and grow food. I naturally know how to bring in a new harvest. I naturally know how to please my woman. I naturally know how to just do these things. A woman knows how to naturally be who she truly is. I don't have to tell her that. She doesn't have to tell me how to be a man. That's why a lot of these men, don't get me started with that. That's why we have this issue today, because it's an imbalance. It's not in harmony. We're not in harmonic.
So people are paying the people that are paying too much energy to Rome as it's falling, even as we speak.
That's right.
What has happened is that you have allowed that reality, that artificial construct and reality, affect your reality, because you basically bought into that. And so because you bought into that concept, therefore it's going to look crazy to you in terms of every single thing that you see going on around you. It's going to look crazy about why you wouldn't want to kill children into the world. It's going to look crazy about all these different things, because you're seeing and feeding into what Rome is actually presenting to you. But the truth of the matter is, because we're not having these personal experiences ourselves, we're not even in this country. We don't even know half the people that said they had these things happen. Two, for all we know, this could be one big ass construct that's being created to manipulate our minds into thinking that this world is so bad we shouldn't have children. So you're saying we're paying too much attention to that. That which is given to us to create a narrative in a program. Makes sense. It makes sense. And it makes a lot of sense, because I know when I step away from social media and I'm not paying attention to it, I know how much better I feel when I'm not around it.
That's what I'm saying.
Better I feel energetic-wise when I'm not around it and when I'm not tuned in and stuff. I know how much better I feel, because the truth of the matter is, everything that I see going on out there, the truth of the matter is, it's not really affecting my life like that.
Right.
I'm not out here getting shots. I'm not forced out here to get shots. I'll never go through that process. So it's not affecting me in that way. That's the truth.
That's right. We naturally know how to do things, but we're too so fucking compromised by media and what's the next celebrity doing, and then what's going on here, and that we don't even know how to even function in our own individuality. We don't know, and we're lost from that. We're too driven by things outside of ourselves instead of talking about the real issues at hand. Our babies have to suffer for the lack of the knowledge of the parents, for the lack of the knowledge of even the self. It doesn't have to be with the parents. It has to be the lack of knowledge, because the woman herself, the lioness, knows what to do. But the woman, the woman now, she's folding because of what is being presented by the media, television, all that bullshit. The man is folding. The lion himself knows how to please his lioness, knows how to take care of his cubs. But the man itself is too compromised by distractions. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. But we know what to do. But we act like we don't know what to do. And we don't want to put in the work.
Right. The Coach Cat says, some of the things this guy is saying, I've heard from poly men in the spiritual community in Los Angeles. She's saying that's her point. Poly men. Are you a poly man?
I'm just a natural man. That's all. I don't go by titles and all that stuff. I don't go by poly. Yeah, I don't do all that stuff. You know, if you're hearing it from me, I'm saying it. You know, I'm to the person who replied. I'm saying it. That's how to be from a poly. That's how to be from. You know that I'm saying it. Respects though.
Okay. Well, Emperor, thank you so much for coming on board to share your perspective. I really appreciate you, guys.
Welcome, Empress. Thank you. I enjoyed that conversation today.
Yes, a really conversation.
Good conversation. Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, honey. No problem. Right. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye. So the brother says that we have incorporated too much of Rome into our lives, which are changing our perspectives. And sisters, let me tell y'all something right now. Y'all need to remember this. You are so powerful that you control and can change everything overnight on a collective level, because you are a part of the Great Mother. So if you decide, if so many women out here, so many of us indigenous women out here decide that they're not going to have children anymore, that is going to be very detrimental to this entire planet, to this country, and to everybody involved in it. It's going to be very detrimental. I think a lot of us don't really realize the power that we actually embody. See, the powers that be understand that, which is why they create these different programs to enter into your thinking. Okay? It's up to us now to make the certain decisions that we know we need to make. This is why we're always constantly being labeled, always constantly being told, always being constantly sought after, as far as being disrespectful to us, always trying to tear us down. So all kinds of stuff. Now they want us. Now they say they want to come after our wombs and things like that, and they've been coming after our wombs. Anything they can do to try to come at us, we have been on attack since day one. And yet we're strong enough when we keep pushing forward. We just got to get rid of that program. Because the men are going to follow where the women go. Remember that. They're going to follow. There you go, sis. We have to revert the issues that's against us. Boom. We got to reprogram. We got to disconnect. Nothing about them, but see, that's the thing. Nothing about any standards that they set for themselves ever apply to us. Their beauty standards don't apply to us. Their diets don't apply to us. Their medicines don't apply to us. Their way of thinking don't apply to us. It never did. And those of us have taken on a mentality of that. It's always been proven to be detrimental to us as a people, both men and women. None of this stuff applies to us. And this is what they mean when they say come up out of her. You got to come up out of the, you got to come up out of Rome. No one's concerned about the views. You know, I don't care. Y'all know I don't care about that. I mean, shit, I have a hell of views. It's Friday night, and I'm doing live on a Friday night. You know, I don't care about that. This was not nothing I even promoted on here. I just got on here. We in the Million Member March. You know what? I don't know if March is appropriate anymore. We passed that marching time. That was good for the 60s. We in 2021 now. We should doing things the old way doesn't work. I've been saying this to y'all for a minute about doing things the old way. Everything that we did before is not going to apply coming into Aquarius. We have to be very radical when it comes to changing for us. Yeah, you love it, honey? I love it too. There needs to be a collective rise in consciousness. Agreed. Evolve. Boom. We got to stand together. Boom. 2021 is about buying land and creating nations. There it is. That's if you ain't on that, or at least building communities, that's really where it's at for us. And I can't speak on nobody else, but for us, that's really where it is for us. I don't care. That's what I just said. I don't care about the views. I don't give a damn about that. I don't give a damn about none of it. I got enough followers where I ain't got to worry about that. Once this bad boy saves and it posts to this platform and it goes to YouTube, it's a risk. Indigenous Wall Street, not Black Wall Street. And you can't create communities without children. Boom! Say it again, sis. Say it again. Say it again. When Aquarius evolves and you don't want to evolve, you will get left behind. Boom. Marching is the old program. History repeats itself until we get it. Boom. Respect is another form of selflessness. Boom. Transform and transmute. No, we good. Hey, see Wonder. We definitely are we definitely need the strong brothers. That's what we're saying. We need y'all. We need y'all. But at the same time, we can't be fighting against y'all. We can't be doing that either. But we definitely need the strong brothers in the building. We need y'all. We love y'all to death. Did you stop? Get your butt down. Get over here. Don't play. I think you should what you did on New Year's Eve with this topic, that prayer and energy released during the New Year's and the conjunction release healing. I know I'm different. No, I'm going to do it again. I am going to do it again in March when the actual real New Year comes in. One person says, don't be so woke that you are aware of how others affect you, but not conscious of how you affect others. Boom. And let me just say this, self-awareness doesn't mean that you're conscious. The self-awareness doesn't mean that you're ascending either. Just because you see some stuff going on with the government don't mean your ass gonna ascend somewhere. I just want to put that out there. Just because you see things don't mean that if you're trying to send your consciousness onto another level. All it means is that you're becoming more self-aware of everything that's going on around you. But you still got work to do. The ancestors are definitely speaking life into a lot of people. Absolutely. If you want to bring children down here, make sure your mate is on your level and frequency. Boom. Now, this goes back to everybody having a conversation, communicating, right? To figure out what one another actually needs and wants. Okay? All right, y'all, my time is up. I gotta go. I'll holler back. I'm getting ready to run out of time on Instagram. Peace.